Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Stormworks. This is the, the fourth episode that I'm currently working on the Admiral class, and I have made some changes while I was not recording it. For starters, what we have now is a masting system that somewhat resembles one of the radar masts that I've found on various warships. Of course, it doesn't actually do much, aside from have a bit of light in it, and house my radio beacon locator. Inside there are some systems, and I'll probably be adding to those. I also have some tilt sensors, which tell me how much the ship is tilting, but they don't actually do anything yet. They're more so in preparation for further systems, which will help stabilize the ship. I have also done a bit of interior decorating. I'll get to this part in a bit. Over here, I removed most of the parts that were in there. Most of the seating is currently gone. And in the back, I have put in equipment lockers, and over on the left, quite a few medkits, defibrillator, fire extinguisher, a lot of transponder beacons, so that if somebody falls overboard, and hopefully happens to be carrying one, they can still be found. Flashlight, we also have a breathing device and a flare. Behind this hatch there is a few more, there are a few more useful items. And then we have this hatch down here. And this hatch leads to a stairs, which leads to the lower compartment of the ship. And over here I have also made some changes. I have removed the bow fuel tanks, because I found that they were a bit too much. And by just having them on the stern, it means that the stern is going to be pushed into the water even more. And by that, I hope to get a bit more speed out of the ship. What else did I do? Hold on, this block seems lost here. What else did I do? I added a few seats. I have added a couple of... what are they called again? They're not windows... portholes, I believe. Yes, portholes. I have added one porthole on the port, one porthole on the starboard. We have 4 beds and an additional bed over here. And this is more of a placeholder until I get the access to the medical beds. Now, a few more things that I want to change to this ship. Of course, I need a color system for it. I need to paint it, but first off, we're going to start with a generator. This was suggested, and I think it's a good idea. Just a simple generator that will always be running so long as the ship has battery. Or, well, not so much so long as the ship has battery. You know what? Actually, I could create a fairly complex device for this. A fairly complex microcontroller that would allow me to keep it, or to put it, or sorry, to put, no, not put it on, turn it on when required, and then turn it off when it's not required. So let's say that the battery is underneath, I don't know, 90%, then turn on generator, otherwise turn it off. Something like that might just work. Now what we have here is coolants, we have fuel, exhaust, and air. Let's say that I pump out the exhaust down here. So that goes there. In case you're wondering why a generator, you already have a generator, right? Yes, I already have a generator. But here's the thought. The generator is currently connected to those 2 large engines. And they have a bit of a thirst. They are really good at making fuel disappear. So to make sure that that does not happen, I'm going to have this generator running, and this is the one that's going to be powering the batteries. It's not so much there to drive the whole ship. It won't have a connection to the main propeller shaft. It will just be there to generate power. For this one, I'm going to use a, what we call that, a radiator, so that I don't have to tap a hole through the fuel tank here. And then on this side we have a fuel intake. So I'm going to go like that, and a fuel port, or not so much fuel port, fluid port here. Pipe. And another pipe. I'm going to go with 1 generator, which for the OCD types will probably mean death. But so be it, I don't feel like I need 2 of these. Then over here we have the power, and I am always a bit confused about which you need in order to generate power. Do you benefit from having more RPS or more torque? I think it was RPS. I'm not 100% on that. But I believe it was RPS. So set that up like that. A couple of pipes again. Let's just use that one. And then another 2 generators. These generators are expensive. But if I can save fuel by doing this, it means I just don't have to go back to port as often. Whoops. There. Okay, this one's going to be running at 3 to 2. I have one thing left to do, and that's to make sure that it gets tapped into the air intake system, which is over there. So this is going to be piped all the way back. The air intake gets shared with this engine. That shouldn't be a problem, because as far as I know, you can just intake, is that a word? You can take in as much air as you need. It's not like there's a limiting factor, and you don't need pumps for it. Okay, next pipe, done. Now I'm going to be running a few tests on this craft. I will need an X2 just to get an idea of how much power this thing is generating. Actually, no, that's not really required. What I need to know is what the... what do you call that? Not a dial, but a display. I need to know what sort of RPS that engine is running at. So this is going to go here. RPS to there. Push button for the starter. Constant number currently. Oh, sorry, that's a constant number. This is going to say 1, so that's the throttle indicator. And then, yeah, I need to make sure that this gearbox is set up properly. So let's say a 3 to 2, probably even more, 9 to 5. Ideally, it would be running at a mere 5 RPS, if that. I think that would do. 5 to 6. So the plan is to see if the RPS is going to be 5 or 6. If so, great. If not, I'll need to change it. I'll also need to power the starter button. Alright. RPS is 20. RPS is way too high. Because I'm only powering 2 generators. If I can put it to 3 to 1, maybe I can get a bit more results out of those things. Let's see. Oh, nope, didn't quite make it aboard. Come on. I still have to add a stairs to the ship. It's still very high. Hold on. That pipe is connected, right? Yeah, it is. How much power am I generating out of that? That's the battery output. This generator input goes here, that one goes there. Oh, hold on, it needs to be a fuel adder, not the other one. The other one has a slightly different configuration for the microcontroller and doesn't quite tell me what I need to know. Now, I could use a PID to make sure that the throttle is always quite low, but I don't think that that's going to be worth my time. This is generating about 40-45 power. Okay. The alternative is to either add more gearboxes or to just say, you know what, you're going to get 0.5 points of power, 0.5 of throttle. Jump. Nope, didn't make it. Again, up. This is the RPS. It's about 10, 12, 13. It's still too high. Output for power is 2111-ish. So I could still... Yeah, you know what? I'm going to add another gearbox. Just to make sure that I get a bit more RPS out of these things. Or, no, actually. What if I go to 0.35? Just spitballing here. I know that there's probably exact calculations that you can do. It's not really my forte. More of a trial and error guy. RPS. Holding at about 8. Power generated a mere 8-ish. So I could put it down to probably 0.25 and it would be alright. That's a directional sensor. Here, 0.25. RPS jumps to just below 6. But we're only outputting... we're outputting really almost no power. 4 points of power. Sure enough, the fuel is barely moving, because that thing is barely taking on anything. But it's not quite what I like. Alright, let's say I'm gonna go put it back to 0.3-ish. Let's go back to 0.35 and call it a day there. Remove, 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 remove. Now, it does not start all by itself. That's the thing, it doesn't start all by itself. So I'm going to build a microcontroller for that, to make sure that it gets a start signal. For that I will need an output on-off. So this goes to the starter. And then I need to figure out if the RPS is high enough. So that's going to be an input. Length to minimum. Name. Generator. Starter. This is fairly straightforward as far as microcontrollers go. It's going to be a less than if the RPS is less than a constant number, and that constant number is, let's say if it's less than 3. If it's less than 3 RPS, then fire up the starter, then send a start signal to the engine. That's all that it really needs to do. Now then, for good measure, what I can do is make this thing a little bigger. I'm going to call it the generator controller. I'll need one more point, and that is simply a number output. And that's the throttle. That's all that that needs. That is just going to be a constant number. It goes from here to there. And we had set that to 0.35. Generator controller. Do you want to override it? Yes. Remove. Okay, this number can go. I'll now need a generator controller, and that goes right next to the generator. This thing goes to the starter. The RPS gets its information from here, and the throttle goes to there. Now one more test, just to see if the thing starts. Display, tell me what the RPS is. Yep, you just heard click click, and that was the start of the generator. So the generator should be running. Yep, there we go. It's actually still a bit high. Let's switch it to 0.3. That should do. Just 0.3. 0.35 puts it in the, what was it, this almost the 9 mark. The other one puts it a little low, so 0.3 should be good enough. Update that. Yes, done. Right, what else do I need? I have come up with a way to make this ship pretty effective at fighting fires. And that is a pretty straightforward system. I'm going to need a few pumps. And I'm going to need a fluid connector. I'm going to do this on either side of the ship because I never quite know what side of the ship that I need to put out I'll be coming next to. What I'll need here is a fluid anchor. And the fluid anchor is going to connect to a couple of pumps. The couple of pumps are going to suck the water right out of the sea. Is it up there as well? Yes. Unfortunately, the engine is mildly in the way. Let's put it as close as possible. I need a port. Then I need 2 pumps in line. Oh, not over there. Fluid port, that's the output. That's the output again. Pipe. That goes there. And then this one goes up the deck. And like that. And over here I will need a toggle. Just to toggle that thing on or off. This one controls these 2 pumps. This one controls these 2 pumps. Now the way that this works is you get a hose from, well, wherever you can find it, probably aboard the ship. And then you take that hose and you connect it to either of the fluid anchors. Yep, generator powers up again. Still got that meter on there, so I can still see what sort of power, or sorry, what sort of RPS I have now. Yeah, that's good enough. Now, by the way, here's the equipment locker. This thing turns on the light, gives me access to a rope, to a flare gun, a flare that I still need to rotate, and another flare. But also to a hose connector, and I just happen to have one already. So what you do is you connect it, and then you turn on the pump, and then if I press B, now I have a makeshift fire hose. Short of a fluid cannon, this is probably the best thing that I can currently fathom. This is going to put out fires. So all you need, 1 fluid hose anchor, a couple of pumps, and a connector. That is all. Alright, let's save those changes. Somebody also suggested make a keel. I believe that was Mrs. Gosrith. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I did make a keel, and this will hopefully help with the stability of the ship. So, generator, check. Pump system for the hosing, check. Hydrofoils. Yes, hydrofoils are an interesting beast. They will allow this ship to potentially go really quickly, but they can be a little fickle. They usually require a bit of trial and error. I need them like that. The fin rudder, like that. If these things work properly, the ship can get up to some serious speed. In order to make that work, though, I will need to reduce the height of the props here. Fortunately, I still have a few blocks here that I can move/remove. I just need to make sure it's all connected to the engine shaft, to the prop shaft. So that is going to have to be a closed angle pipe. And then another, let's say 2 straights and another pipe. And then 2 props. I'm also going to give, as was suggested, the ship a double rudder. Because in her current configuration, she didn't really respond too well to the rudder. And that is a fairly important element. Hold up. I think I had a bit too much deleting over there. Where's that prop? Fine. Large prop. Now if I want to go for a double rudder, you know what, since I'm removing these things anyway, let's also slightly shift their position inwards so I can have some rudders on the outside. Large props. Oh, really? Oh crap, they're too close together now. Okay, fine. This might tie into what else was suggested, and that's to elongate the stern. So make the stern a bit longer. And that will also, depending on how I fit this in, it will also allow me to put in the rudders. But the real question is, are they going to be low enough? So I would then have both of the rudders over here. I'm I'm turning off symmetry mode, otherwise I'm going to get into trouble with the rudders. So the rudders are going to be behind there. And then these blocks will need to get so slightly adjusted to allow for the longer hull. Not quite like that. If I take one of these... They're just a little too long for my taste. Whoops. It's going to be annoying to try and fix this thing to make this look good. Annoying, but not impossible. The real key is going to be make sure everything stays dry. Don't have any leaks anywhere, or the ship will sink right from the spawn. See, if I do it like this, it's going to look terrible. So I think the easier solution would be to just make the ship longer. That would also fix that issue of this weird transition from blocks that I have going. And it makes my fuel tanks somewhat larger. Remove these bits, this bit, this thing to here. And now I would start and move to a 2x1. If I move it like this... Yeah, you know, this might not be terrible. Come on. That needs to be a 2x1. No, not a 2x1. Oh, I'm connecting to a 4x1. Hold on. It needs to be another one. It needs to be a 1x4. That one, the inverse pyramid. There we are. Come on, you almost had it. There. Then one more. It doesn't quite connect as well as I would like. Not the biggest fan of this design. Come on. I need another one of those edges. Here we go. Like that. And then I can... You know what? Maybe this is going to be the point where people are going to be brought aboard. Just in the back here. Because I already have somewhat of a, well, a semi-flat surface here. And this is also quite important, I don't run the risk of running into my propellers. Because they are sealed up. Somewhere deeper inside the ship. Now I can still... Shit. Forgot to turn off Facebook. Hang on. My bad, I'm sorry. I can still see my gearbox from here. And that is not good. It means there's a hole in the ship. There's also a hole in the ship here. How do I fix this? Just like this. Another one of these things here. This is not a part that people are going to see. So it's not a part that I consider particularly important when it comes to beautifying the ship. I will put it at the, or on the workshop at some point. And if you feel that this is absolutely not something that you would want on your ship, go ahead and correct it there. This might also help me with stability a little more. Let's see, any holes here? Any leaks? Let's just spawn it in, see. Yeah. I think we might have a leak. Considering how the forward compartment is dry, that's still giving the ship buoyancy. But I think I know who the culprit is. I think that might have something to do with the spawning of the fuel tanks. Yes. The fuel tanks have a spawn system in them, a fluid spawner. And that fluid spawner just considers everything that is not sealed up to be part of the fuel tank. And goes, you're now part of me, which means, lucky you, you're now going to be considered as a fuel tank. Try again. She still runs relatively deep in the water. Not necessarily terrible, though. I might just have enough clearance. Okay, what else was there on the to-do list? Hydrofoils, keel, bulbous bow, and bow thruster. I'm not sure how much Stormworks likes a bulbous bow. That is my potential problem with it. I'm not sure how well that impacts performance of the ship. See, the alternative is to just open up part of the ship here and put in a propeller. I'm thinking a medium. So you would have, let's say, something like this, where you put a medium prop or a large prop like that. And that would allow the ship to turn. The reason why I'm not a big fan of the small props is that they need those extra 2 blocks. This is going to give it a ton of power, but it might also drain the batteries pretty damn quick. If I don't want to do that, and I do want to go for a bulbous bow, what would that look like? I would have to go with wedges sort of in reverse. I never designed one of these, so this is very much an experiment. No, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I don't like the look of a bulbous bow. It's not my thing. If I want a part of... well, if I want a prop here... No, not there. It'd have to be farther back. It would have to be here. Okay. This is going to be a single side. I need a pipe. An angled pipe here. Straight pipe, angled pipe. Too high. Prop. Oops. Too close into the forward compartments. And I cannot remove that, because then I'll also be removing quite a significant part of the hull. Okay, try again. It needs to be here. Pipe. 1 straight pipe, 1 angled pipe, and then the prop. Like that. Now, the thing with these props is that they need access to water. Otherwise, they don't function. So I need to seal off this entire compartment. This, well, not the compartment so much, but I gotta make sure that nothing starts leaking here. The alternative, and I don't have access to it quite yet, is to go with a different option. And that would be an option like azimuth thrusters. So a pivotable device that pushes your ship in one direction or another, depending on where you need them. So just you rotate your props, pretty much. Click, click, click. This should close up that section. Spawn. Also gives the bow less buoyancy. Ship doesn't seem to mind too much. Okay, good. Now, the reason why I put a pipe over there is so I can attach it to an electric motor. That is the whole deal here. So I would need one electric motor, a small one. I don't want to give this thing too much power. I don't need that thing to go on a power trip, so that goes there. And then this thing goes to left and right. There. By the way, this fits exactly the way that I have the ladder set up. You don't even have to crouch, unless you want to go up, in which case you have to crouch a little bit, and then you're fine. Anyway, left and right. And nothing fucking happened. No, that's not true. Something is happening, but that large prop is not spinning quite fast enough, and I'm probably tearing through my power reserves. But I don't even have a battery indicator yet, so I couldn't tell you. There is space for a gearbox. It's not a lot of space, and it's going to be a really wet gearbox, but I could do it. I cannot safely remove that block. Okay, gotcha. One straight pipe, one angled pipe, one gearbox. And this would have to be a gearbox that goes the opposite way, actually, because that would allow it to put out a lot of torque. So very quickly spin that prop. Once again, the controls come in from left and right. The power goes to / from the battery. Not likely to be going to the battery. 3 to 2. Oh, hold on. Did I give that thing power or didn't I? That gearbox, I mean. Left. She's turning alright, but still really fucking slow. Did I give that gearbox power? I did. But it's just not spinning quickly enough. Now, an electric motor can put out a amount of power, but it doesn't really say how much. Hold on, I put the gearbox in the wrong way, actually. At least not the way that I had envisioned it. The alternative is to just have 2 electric motors or something to that tune. Open up. She turns way too slowly with that bow thruster. It works, and I can sort of turn in place, but it's probably draining the batteries like crazy, and I just don't like how it looks. No, I'm going to tear the whole system out. I'm going to put the parts back in as they were. That means that this has to go, these have to go. This whole part goes this bit here. I'm not sure if I can load the save. The last time I saved the ship, so I'm just going to do it by hand. I need a pyramid here. Like that. Yep, that's all. Okay, cut out the bow thruster, elongate the stern. Done, done, done. Aside from painting the ship, I think we're quite ready. Of course, I'll still have to hook up all the systems, but that doesn't make for a particularly entertaining part of the video, so I'm not going to put that in here. I'll make sure that the ship is ready by the time that you get to the next episode, which will be next week. Until then, I thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the changes. If you have any more suggestions, let me know, and I'll try to implement those before the next video goes live. But we shall see how the ship will actually do in practice. I still have to do a bit of testing, but then again, I'll do that next week. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you next week for the next part of the Stormworks playthrough.